Hey, Charisse.
Hi.
How are you?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good today. I'm excited about, doing this with you today.
Yeah, thank you so much for, being willing and open, to talk about stuff that we encounter and things that are a part of our regular lives as parents, especially
Yes.
parents to brown boys, African American boys. We do uh, have to deal with some things that can be unique to people who are not necessarily a part of our culture. Other people may not be aware of it.
Yes, it is. It's a challenge, but in the last few years, I think that challenge has really highlighted a lot of things for me that I think I just was going through life and just like, okay, we'll bypass that, we'll get past that. But
Right.
a lot of those things have really been highlighted.
Yeah. So thank you guys so much for stopping by my channel. If you're new here, my name is Olivia. I try to do different topics, and today is a topic that's kind of on the serious side. The topic is raising brown boys or African American boys, and some of the subtopics us parents of that particular group of people have encountered, are encountering some of the challenges and ups and downs of it. So I hope you guys stay to the end, and I hope you find this video educational, very informative. I hope that it help you to kind of look at African American moms or moms that fall in the women of color area, to kind of give an insight to some of the challenges that we face. So this is my friend Charisse, who has she's a ride or die kind of girl. So she's decided to and agreed to join me in discussing some of these issues that we face. She has three sons, two adults and one minor. I have three sons, one adult and two minor. So tell us a little bit about your sons, Charisse.
Okay, I have one son. My oldest son is Bobby, and Bobby was recently murdered in Detroit, August 2021. He was 32 years old. Um, yeah, well, that's my oldest. And um, then I have Joshua. He's 18 years old. He's just finished his first year in community college. He's going
Yay!
for computer engineering. Right now, he's doing an internship at a local automotive company. And I have Eric, and he's 16. He's a 10th grader, and he loves to dance. He's very energetic, and he's my biggest challenge with all of my boys.
The baby. It's a situation with the babies.
Yes.
So, and just for our viewers insight, um talk about the ethnic difference of your boys.
Well, my oldest, Bobby, he's African American. Both me and his dad are African American, and my two younger sons are they're biracial.
Okay, yeah. And so for me, my oldest son, Christopher, is 22. He'll be 23 this year. And he's biracial. My ex-husband, his dad, is Caucasian. And then there is Gabriel, my 14-year-old, and Izzy or Israel, my 9-year-old. They are, for lack of a better term, I tend to call them brown boys because my husband is African American. I fall into the African American category, but I'm mixed. My mom is mixed, my biological dad is mixed. And so I call myself a brown girl because I identify as African American brown. Um, so that's the breakdown. So my oldest and Josh and EJ are very similar. They even look similar.
Yes. Yes.
Before Josh cut his hair, he had that kind of high top thing going.
Yes.
And
Yes.
Christopher, my son, that's the hairstyle he keeps.
Yeah. You remember when EJ grew his hair out really long?
Yes.
Yeah. That was a challenge because I had to do a lot of detangling
Yes.
and he did not like it. And he wore braids a lot.
Which is cute. I am kind of, I think for me, whatever the boys want to do with their hair, I've kind of gone along with it. Like Chris had a ponytail in the back for like years, and I was cool with it. Then he wanted it cut off, and I was like, "Are you sure?" And he's like, "Yeah." And then we cut it off, and he hated it. He wanted it back. So, we kind of go through the ups and downs. I don't really care. I think as long as
Yeah.
it's neat, that's where I fall.
Yes.
So we have some questions that we want to kind of question subtopic-ish that we want to go through. And one of the commonalities between Charisse and I, we are Christian. We're Christian moms. And so the topic that falls under being a Christian mom is teaching our sons to be men of faith. What has worked for you with regards to teaching them to be like Christian, to be Christian men, pretty much?
Well, I find that I could easily say to them, read your Bible, and, we have to go to church and things like that. But what I found is that with my boys, is that I have to sit down and do it with them. And I think that they enjoy that better because it was more of a family type of discussion when we would do devotions, because they both were able to put it on their phones and we would have the discussion. But lots of times, like when we would do Bible, like I don't want to say Bible study, but when we would do devotions together, lots of times we would end our devotions in a lot of laughter.
Yes.
And it just like branched off into other discussions. And that brought a lot of closeness with me and my youngest boys. Now, my older son, at the time, I knew God, I believed in Jesus, but I wasn't, I didn't have that relationship.
Okay.
And so we didn't share those type of moments together.
Okay.
But I think it's a big thing that my sons, my younger ones, they see me reading the Bible, they see me studying the Bible, and I'm trying to lead by example.
Yeah, and that's really key for a lot of kids. Old school used to be do as I say, not as I do. What I find to work the best is living by example, is modeling, not just telling them to do something, but that they see us doing it. And so like you, I've been a Christian and been like actively serving the Lord in church my whole life. Both my grandmothers, were strong women of faith. And so at a super early age, I wanted to mirror, their peace, their joy, their relating everything to God. And so I made that decision early that I would raise my kids that way, that I would raise my kids to know the Lord. It wasn't like a forced thing. Of course, they were dedicated, in church, within a few months of them being born, I taught different Sunday school classes, and I kind of started because of them, because I wanted to kind of ensure what they were learning in church. And so whatever age range they were, I was teaching their classes, and just kind of followed them all the way to youth group. And so in our home, we did do a lot of family devotions. And I don't remember, I think, I don't know if for the viewers, if you remember Dr. James Dobson from Focus on the Family. I used to listen to him on the radio when I first became a parent. So my oldest is a girl, Daniela, and she'll be 26 this year. But when I first started my motherhood journey, I started listening to Focus on the Family because I wanted advice, different topics and books and whatnot. And I remember one show they recommended a couple of family devotions. And for years, it had literally 365 days a year devotions and different topics that were children friendly, no matter what age range they were. And so we often did that. And then we did back in the day, do you remember the Bible on the CD?
Yeah.
We would listen to the Bible on the CD in the car and at home, and we would memorize scripture verses. So it was super important for me to raise our boys, our children in general, but particularly our boys, to kind of help them to build that foundation of having a relationship with God. And so my 20-something-year-old, not so much. She'll come to church right now on special occasions.
Oh, yeah.
Mother's Day, maybe Christmas. But often we talk about the Lord. Maybe like, I don't know, maybe like a month ago or something, he came to visit, and he brought up topic of angels, and like we went through half of the book of Revelations.
Wow.
So it's in him, but he's not currently like attending church on a regular basis. The other two boys, they attend church, they still do daily devotions, we pray together. So those things are super important. So yeah, even Gabe will give out cards at school and pen at school to the kids at his school, inviting them to youth group and different events and stuff. So I know that they do have that foundation of having a relationship with God, which is super important.
Right. And that's like with Joshua, my soon to be 19-year-old, he's trying to find his church, his place for him. And I'm not giving him that freedom because I want him to be able to find a place that fits him, not where I want him to go.
Yeah.
But in that in between time, I still want him to do devotions and pray. So we do talk about it often.
Yeah, it's kind of like, that late teens, that early 20s is kind of like a little bit of a gray area, with kids in general, but boys particularly, they start to try to maybe pull away a little bit and want to be more independent and, like, I got this, type situation. So yeah, it is a gray area. So another subtopic is discipline strategies. What discipline strategies have you used that you found successful? And what you've tried to use, but you didn't find to be successful with Josh and EJ and even Bobby?
Well, with all of my boys, I tried spanking them. I did. I spanked Bob. Maybe Bob got maybe 3 spankings at the most. But he was a good kid. He was good. So it really wasn't necessary. With Josh and EJ, it was more talking.
Yeah.
Taking things away from them. But I had to learn a lot because I was a yeller and I was a screamer. And I realized that pushed my boys away,
Uh-huh.
and I was breaking them because every time I did it, I broke myself. I
Right.
hurt when I did it.
Yeah.
So if I was hurting by yelling and screaming at them, I could imagine how much they hurt.
Yeah.
So I really had to take a look at the things that I didn't want to do that was done to me
Yes.
growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to, take a step back and say, this isn't what I want, how I want them to feel,
Right. Mm-hmm.
So it became a place where we started doing talks like no judgment zone.
Yeah.
No judgment
I
zone.
love
You
that.
get to say whatever you want.
Uh-huh.
You can tell me how you really feel. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to scream. I'm not going to yell. And at first, they didn't really open up because I don't
Because
think they
they're like, what you
they're
up to,
like, oh,
mom?
mom's going to freak out. But eventually, the more we did it, they were able to say, okay, mom, when you did this, or you said that, or when you yelled at us, when you said this, they told me how it made them feel.
Right.
And I'm glad that I gave them that space to be able to do that, because I was bringing my brokenness into raising them. And
Yeah.
that's something that I didn't want to do.
Yeah. It's really important. And I find it fascinating that we're old school. We're women of a particular age. I'm going to be 50 in a few months. And you're right on that cuffs too, right?
I'm 51.
You're 51. So we're from an era where our parents, it was no, at least for me, my West Indian, my Jamaican culture, there was no sit down and let's talk about it.
Right.
My
Right.
mom would, and most West Indian, Jamaican people, island people, I got whooped. Like
Yeah.
there was no second chances, there was no telling you over and over. And so I wanted to be a different kind of parent, right? I did not want spanking, whooping, whatever you call it. I did not want that to be my primary discipline strategy. So I talk to my kids, I remind them, I put post-it notes, we pray about stuff. Did they get spanks? Yes, but it was so few and far between. And what I learned with my kids, they're all different. My boys, they're all different. Um, Chris was like probably my most strong-willed son.
Oh boy.
He has had, it's still present, ADHD, actually all my boys. But with his ADHD, like his mind was going all the time. And so I had to, my first boy, I remember, I remember he was like 18 months old or something. And he was just all over the place, like climbing up the walls and, trying to run out the window and these crazy stuff, like gluing the toilet seat together. These really, and I like sat down and I had a conversation with myself. I was like, look, girl, you are college educated. You are smart. You cannot let this kid drive you crazy. And
Yeah.
so I had to give myself like a self-talk because I was like, what am I going to do with this kid? Like,
Especially after he came after a girl.
my daughter was as close as you can get to the perfect child. And then with God's sense of humor, he gave me this child that challenged me on every level. Every level. And so I vividly remember self-talking myself like, girl, you cannot let this kid, run wild. You can't let him discourage you. You've got to figure this out. And so I started like reading about, how to treat my kid, him because of his ADHD, and changing his diet and, no sugar and all these different things, and talking to a counselor and the pediatrician and all these things. But what I found to work best with Chris is physical activity. Like I gave him avenues to challenge all that energy, which really freed up mental space. So he was like, he started like jogging a mile, like nonstop at like 1 or 1.5, something crazy like that. And would pick it up, like would slowly increase. And so I found that exercise was a good way to kind of get him to calm down, but also exercise when he, when he needed some consequences. It was like, okay, boy, we're going to do some push-ups. So for those of you that don't know, I have a military background. So I incorporated, you can call it whatever, but push-ups, or jumping jacks. You like that was one of the things that worked for me with discipline with Christopher. Gabe, my middle son, mm-mm. Of the three boys, he was the easiest. I would just talk to him, and we'd go outside and get some fresh air, and he'd okay. He was more compliant. My other two they gave me major pushback.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Major.
Especially the baby, right?
Let me tell you that Izzy is something special. But sweet as pie, cute as can be, just melt my heart, have me wrapped around his finger, maybe because it's the last one, maybe it's because it's the baby, but yeah, the last ones, they got something special.
They do.
Okay. The other subtopic is, do you teach your boys to be chivalrous or to use chivalry?
I do. I believe I do, because I do ask them to do things for me, and I found that as they got older into becoming teenagers and they started working their own jobs, I noticed they would go buy me flowers,
Oh my
God, for Mother's Day. And they make it their business to say, Josh, he watches me. So when, like, if Christmas comes around and he doesn't say anything like, what do you want or anything, he kind of watches.
He's attentive.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And when he gives me something, it's something that I've pointed out or I've seen or he's seen me admire.
Mm-hmm.
So I do. We talk about it with Josh. He just started dating, and so it's been really interesting because he's not a big talker.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to get in those moments where I can like dig a little bit about what's going on, and his responsibilities as being a gentleman.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I know sometimes it may sound silly to him, but I know that he's listening to me.
Yes, it's so important because society sometimes send the wrong message about what a man looks like and how they act, right?
Yeah.
Especially like MTV and some of this younger stuff. It's so far left. And so my dad was a gentleman, and most of the guys in my family, they fall on different sides of the, not all the way opposite end of the spectrum, but they like, they're very affectionate to their wives and helpful and all that kind of stuff. And so growing up, I saw that. And so, having sons, I teach them that. And one of the great things is my husband and I are on the same page when it comes to that, because my boys will open the door of the car every single time, especially Gabe. Gabe is like number one. Chris would be number two. Izzy is kind of hit or miss. It depends on what he's thinking about. But they will open the door. They'll help me with my coat on and off. They'll if we go to the grocery store, they're in charge of the cart. They are very, Izzy picks me flowers, wildflowers, and he'll bring it home. I have allergies, but I take it, So yes, our boys are taught that, gentlemen open the doors, they pull the chair out, they're very attentive. It still comes into like a ladies' restroom with me. I use the family one, so he'll still come in. Gabe will stay outside and he'll hold my purse because my husband does the same thing. So it's like not an issue at all. But it's so important in today's society for moms to teach our sons, to be that chivalrous kind of guy, to do things that for the majority of males, they're not doing that.
Right. They have to know how to be helpers.
Yes.
To their significant others, and I think that's important because
super important.
It's not just being this big masculine man, I'm man.
Yeah.
And I don't do those things. No, you really have to think that when you're married, your wife needs help,
Yes.
Just like you do, because neither one of you can pour out of an empty cup. So if you're filling her cup and she's filling yours, so
that makes for a happy relationship.
Yes, yes.
Yes. And I'll even go a little bit further. Like my boys will help me to like strap my heels. Like when I'm putting on my heels, if we're going someplace, they help to put the jewelry on, and zip me up and different things like that. And I think that's a beautiful thing because they're in training of how to be a good mate, of how to be a good husband, of how to, be a team player when it comes to, marriage and relationship and all of that. Like for me anyway, gone are the days where, women, we had to kind of figure it all out on our own. We want to teach our sons that it's a partnership. Marriage is a partnership. And yes, your wife needs to be treated special and needs help. Right.
And where's the best place for them to learn that other than home? They have to learn it at home.
Other than their first female love, right? Moms, we're our son's first love, of the opposite sex. And so, yeah, a lot of it is on us to teach them these things. And, hopefully, sometimes you can talk, but you have to kind of wait until, they bring a girl home or they start dating for you to see, oh, did those lessons stick or not,
Yes. Yeah. But, just to backtrack that on that, we as women, we have to teach them, we have to show them what a lady is as well.
Yes.
So when they do go out into the world and they encounter different women, we have to set a certain standard for them.
Absolutely. If I had a mic, I'd drop it 100%. 100%. Yes. And we have those kinds of conversation. Like, we were going to a viewing of a friend of ours, them, a friend of ours. And we were just having a conversation in the car. I was like, so what kind of girl do you like? And they were open. It was like, I want my wife to be just like you, Mom. And I was like, oh, so they're really paying attention, I think.
They are.
So we're going to have a part 2.
Oh.
I think because, the subtopics are so in depth, I think we should have a part 2. How do you feel about that?
I would love it.
Yay. Because, we had so many subtopics where we've only really covered maybe like 3 of them. So I definitely think we need to do a part 2. So, hey guys, I hope that something we've said today entertained you, caused you to think about if you're a mom or you have a boy, a young man in your life, maybe some conversation starters to have with them. It's never too late to start to teach our sons something, right? And so I hope that you find this very informative and very educational and a little bit comical. Please subscribe to my channel and comment. Do you have sons? Do you have godsons? What kind of topics do you talk about, have you experienced as a parent or as a godparent, or as a auntie or a monty or whatever title you wear with having boys and young men and males in your life? Put them in the comments. Let's talk about it. So thank you so much for watching my channel. Have a great day. We'll see you on part 2. Bye, guys. Hold on, Charisse. Hmm.